All right. Warhammer Wednesday. I have a lot of stuff here this morning. So we'll see what we can accomplish. Hello, everybody. Good morning from my time zone. Hope everyone is doing well. All right, what do we got? So this is what I had been waiting for. Because a friend of mine who is an expert painter highly recommended this as a medium for mixing and creating paints. So this is Liquitex acrylic medium flow aid additive. And apparently what most people use this for is for their paints when they put it into an airbrush. Obviously, I'm not using an airbrush, but as we talked about previously, we're making paints out of pigments and micas, which come in powdered form. So I need some sort of medium to turn it into liquid. We tested... So, oh, wow, that was dusty. Okay, I probably shouldn't have turned it over before I opened it. All right, that's fine. Yeah, so basically I need to turn the powder into paint, something I can apply to my miniatures, and we're going to test some things today and see how that can work. So I've got I've got the flow aid, I have water, I have contrast medium, which I don't think is going to be best for this, but something we could test out. I have egg carton bits where I can put things in. I've got various little cups and a little tiny measuring spoon and an eyedropper and a stirring stick and notes so I can keep track of what is what, and we'll see what we get to. And of course, tester minis and paintbrushes and water and all the other various things, palettes, you name it, I got it. At least I think so. I think I got everything. Excuse me. Woke up with like a little bit of a wheeze this morning, so hopefully it's not too annoying. Rabid Wombat says, this reminds me I need to get my last round of magnets glued in so I can prime all my Terminator bits. That's very exciting. Magnets are fun. They're just annoying. All right. Well, let's give this a try, shall we? So technically, this thing, depending on what you're going to use it for, they suggest... So they say for acrylic colors only. So basically, don't mix this with oil paint because it'll probably make a horrible mess. It says always dilute with water before mixing with color. 1 part flow aid to 20 parts water, which is kind of crazy. We're not going to do that, at least to start, but we'll see. Maybe we'll try that. The friend of mine who uses this, he says he doesn't do that. He just adds a couple drops to his paint mixture when he's working with his airbrush. Oh, Rabid Wombat, yeah, it's always a bummer when things don't quite fit flush, but yeah, you can either kind of like drill it out or use magnets. Somebody in one of the modeling groups, he said that he was in the hospital after using a Dremel on some resin pieces, and even he was wearing an N95 mask, but somehow he still breathed in the resin particles, and it was in his lungs. It sounded horrible. So use proper precautions. Use a respirator if you're dealing with that. So I don't know how this is going to come out, if it's just going to pour out, but I'm going to give it a try. Or if it'll come out in drops, which is what I'm hoping for. Yes, drops. 1 drop. 2 drops. 3, 4, 5. So 5 is not enough. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, well, 11. All right. That's also not very much. Again, I'm trying to measure as I go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. Okay. So that's 20 drops of Flow Aid. Write this down. 20 drops FA. Still, it's a little bit. All right. 2. Well, let's try 1 little tiny scoop of the pigment. And again, I mean, look at how vibrant this is. It's crazy. Okay. Always cover and close what you're not working with, even if you're going to come back to it later. You never know what you're going to bump. We've got a little stern stick here. I'm already making a mess. That's exciting. Seems to be mixing pretty well. Consistency is very liquidy. Too liquidy? We shall see. Probably. Oh, right, Rabbit One, but I remember you saying that with the magnet holes pre-drilled. That's definitely handy. Okay, we've got an old Citadel standard brush. Wet it down, and let's see what this looks like. Okay, so this is very watery. Like, definitely too watery. Like, not even, like, too watery even with a second coat. It's not really, the mixture is not quite right. Okay. Let's try. Add a second helping of okay, let's try that. So now we have 20 drops of Flow Aid and 2 spoonfuls of pigment. See if that works. Yeah, it was too thin. Hey, it's an Iser, happy birthday. Yeah, now as Nerdy Duck noted, this is just like, yeah, there are all sorts of other things that I can do, and that's why like I'm excited about this project, but I'm also super daunted because yeah, I could put down other sorts of base coats and, you know, do different things getting up to this color, and how am I going to do shading, and then my brain just goes completely numb because I don't even know how to like start the project. But I figure, you know, let's just throw some paint on and see what it looks like. Okay, so now this is much closer to what I'm looking for. It has, well, these backpacks are always fun because you got to try to get the paint in the little holes. try to do that. Because I'm trying at once to keep the color while also, you know, getting the right consistency. And I don't mind painting multiple coats. That's always, you know, not a problem. As the almighty Duncan says, 2 thin coats. So let's get 1 coat on this backpack and backpack, power plants, whatever you want to call it. And let it dry for a minute and we'll see how it goes. And again, there are all these recesses that are right behind the Marine's head, which, of course, is why you would do these in sub-assemblies, but, you know, who has time for that? So as you can see, if I bring it up here, it's still thin, which is nice. I could do a better job getting it around the top there, but it's thin. Like you can still see, yeah. But it's definitely better. And again, like I'll let that dry, and we'll slap another coat on that, and we'll see what it looks like. Definitely needs a second coat though, especially on the top. You can already see it's pretty thin. It's also a little uneven. Smooth it out a little bit. But again, that's why we do 2 coats. So while that is drying, let's try it on. Let's see what it looks like over black. Yeah, I'm thinking 2 coats might be 2 coats might work for this. Let's paint a leg. Yeah, because I'm very interested to see how this works over different primers as well. Yeah, and see, that's what I thought was going to happen. It's the black. It doesn't stick on the black very well. But that's fine. I certainly don't need to prime in black. I mean, it does this interesting effect, but yeah, it's more like, it definitely shows up looking more like contrast, where it just sort of pools. And again, it's kind of a neat effect. But it's actually kind of a really cool effect. It's kind of neon along the edges, but yeah, not what I'm looking for as far as like coverage for an entire. Yeah, exactly, like Tron. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll keep this in my back pocket as something I could do with it, but it's definitely not the goal of this project. Although that is pretty cool. We got to make sure the paint is going where you want it to go. Maybe I'll just paint this guy real quick with this. See what it looks like. Yeah, because on some of these places, it just literally, the paint just runs off of the of the primer. Okay. Let's get a little bit more. Oh, more on the foot. The boot. So yeah, it definitely picks up those. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, or yeah, even like my Infinity Olive figures, because they're like cyborgs or robots, and they've got sort of energy peeking through. This could be cool for something like that. Let's see how the backpack is doing. Backpack is still a little wet, so I'm going to leave that. All right, then we also have metallic base coat. So let's see what it looks like over that. We'll do another backpack. And well, we also haven't talked really about brushes. So this is what Games Workshop called a standard brush. Obviously, there are lots of different brushes you could use for, specifically for, laying on layers like this versus precision work. I am not good with brushes. I tend to find a decent accent brush and then I just use that for everything. Yeah, but this is having trouble sticking. It just kind of moves. Let's get these holes. Yeah, this is going to need... this would need a lot of coats. Even then, I don't know if it would actually stick. It's just not... It's not grabbing. You can see it just kind of float. Well, it just kind of flows away even while I'm looking at it. So that's not going to work, but that's okay. Thank you for the follow, Dano Paints. We're working with some interesting stuff today. Yeah, it does not like. Wow, yeah, I mean, look at that. It just completely. It's running away, leaving just completely blank areas. So, metallic does not like. I want that to dry faster so I can add more to it. But I will be patient. I also don't know like how quickly this is going to dry and what that's going to do to the consistency or the color. But we're learning about all sorts of new things here. Dirty Duck, yeah, that's an interesting possibility. So again, the company is Mad Micas. They make both micas and pigments, which are different. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but it's something. Anyway, so yeah, so this one is a pigment. So there. I don't know. But yeah, these are super cool. The colors are incredibly vibrant. They have a huge range. My wife uses these for, like I said, for her soaps and other projects, and they're really cool. Let's try. Yeah, so it's not quite as vibrant as what Jessica had mixed up the first time. So the legs. And I think that was just with water. Right, so this is not a paint, it's a pigment, which again is something different. So I'll try enough to put some more paint on. Well, I mean, let's try some water. How much water? That is the question. So that's 20 drops of water. Man, I'm so worried about, because this is just powder, I'm so worried about like sneezing or coughing or, God forbid, dropping it. That would be wildly tragic. Okay, so again, that's 20 drops of water, and we'll try two spoonfuls. So this will be easy, obviously, to dilute if we need to, because it's just water. We can easily add more. Well, Ernest, this is just testing. So on Saturday, we can hopefully, if I can get this to a point where it's like, oh, this is usable, then we can actually start painting with it. Okay. Oh, you can't see that. It's definitely thin. All right, I gotta remember who's who here. So these guys are that, and we'll do. All right, we'll try it on this guy. We'll do another backpack. Oh wow, yeah, that doesn't stick at all. Well, yeah, if I use more. Yeah, it definitely. I guess because it's a pigment, and it obviously has particles in it. It's not as smooth as smooth as most paint. I mean, obviously, for anybody who's used paint, not all paint is super smooth, but it definitely acts like a contrast paint, because you can see here already, like there's definitely some that is sinking into the recesses versus the color that stays up on top, which is cool. It just changes, what the approach is going to be as far as layers and details. I mean, I do like it, but it's just to get that really vibrant color on the surfaces is going to take a lot of coats. But again, if you get the color that you want and it looks good, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So there we have. So this is water. Well, that's one layer, so I'll let that dry. And then that is as opposed to so water on the left, flow aid on the right. So the coverage is different. And I know it's hard to tell with the lighting, but Interesting. I don't know. I just gotta keep testing and see what it looks like. Yeah, there are a bunch of companies now that have color shifting paints. What was it? Turbo Dork was the first one to really come out with that stuff, but I think they've gotten overshadowed by some of the other companies. I've never worked with any of that stuff, but I know people who have, and the reports I've heard are that you can't. That you can get some really cool effects, but at least with the Turbo Dork stuff, like you got to use a lot of layers. You really have to use an airbrush to get it on right. But again, I have not personally used any of that. Boop, boop, boop. Gotta open up all these holes. Don't want the paint to dry in there. Yeah, it's a little too thin, but I don't know if that's because I have it watered down too much, or if that's just the way it works. Yeah, so like on the top, it just the color just doesn't stay smooth up there. Yeah, if anybody has pictures of using that color shift stuff, I'd love to see it. Yeah, I know there's all sorts of cool things you can do with metallics as well. Right, he's gonna go there. I guess let's see what the. Oh wow! So that actually, so a lot of that dried, and didn't keep all of that where we had seen it before. Let's try the water on this backpack. The water mixture. Yeah, I guess I might just try to thicken it up a little bit. So the water, so this obviously isn't going to cover perfectly well, but I do want to see what it looks like over the black. See if it does any weird effects like the Flow Aid version did. Yeah, so it's definitely not sticking well to the black primer. Ah, it's so interesting. And it's just kind of flowing away. That primer, primer's tough. Sometimes, even regular paints going on the first try over primer, it'll be splotchy and not smooth. And, again, you just do another coat. Oh, mixing some of the water and some of the medium. Yeah, I could try that. I'm just using I'm drying the paintbrush and then using it to pick up where the paint has pooled too much in areas where I don't want to lose all that detail. So basically using the paintbrush as a sponge. So it's not quite as Tron an effect as it was with the flow aid, but it's definitely going to need more to see if that color will stick. But it's interesting that it did something a little bit different with the water than with the flow aid. Well, Nerdy Duck, I mean, again, for anybody who sees, you still see, what is it? Not hues, but I don't know, whatever the word is. I don't know if any of you follow Squidmar, watch it on YouTube. He's an amazing miniature painter out of Sweden, I think he is. But he actually did a video where he got green blocking goggles. So he could only see in shades of red. And he tried painting miniatures that way, just as an exercise. Not like, hey, look, I'm colorblind now, haha. No, it was more of, if I can't see the colors, how can I paint effectively just looking at amounts of colors in different places and where shading would go normally. He explained it better than I can, but it was interesting what he came up with. So that's not looking not too bad. Again, it's uneven, but with more tinkering, it could be getting close. Yeah, the different kinds of glasses that they're coming out with for people with different abilities in different shades is really, really fascinating. And of course, those YouTube videos go viral for people who have been colorblind their whole life, and then they put on these glasses and for the first time can see colors. Okay. So this is going to need some time to dry rather. All right, let's try. Should we try a mixture of mediums? Ryan Green, who you may know from Geek and Sundry and helping out a bunch of other people around this town, he is colorblind, to a great degree. I don't know all of the different versions of color blindedness and different sightedness, but he got some of those glasses where all of a sudden you can see colors, and he said it was pretty life-changing. Zardoz, it's going. We're testing pigment mixed with flow aid, pigment mixed with water, and we're getting some interesting effects. It's a little bit. We need multiple layers for sure. The coverage is a little wonky, which is not surprising, mixing something with particles and different kinds of mediums for it. We got a cool effect, like a Tron-like effect on these legs, but then it kind of dried and went away mostly. Testing some more on the backpack. I don't think any of this is going to look really good over black, unless you're doing it as some kind of effect, which, again, I'm not looking for a whole army of that. But it's good to know. Okay, let's try mixing. We'll do 10 and 10. Yeah, Nerdy Duck, I totally get that. That, yeah, especially when you're dealing with with sense stuff, everybody's different. Yeah, and what something might look like for one person could be totally different for somebody else. Yes, many thin layers is the way. Let me keep a little bit better notes here of what is what. So 20 drops water. And each of those are 2 spoons. Okay. Good. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting this to go well. Just, seeing what it would look like. If we could get something interesting going. All right, so we'll do 10 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Approximately 10. Highly scientific what's going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 / 10. Okay. Yeah, I mean, sorry, guys. The last thing I want to do is start mixing up a whole bunch of stuff and then find something I liked and then have no idea how to get back to it. That would be unfortunate. Okay, and then let's get 2 scoops. I mean, obviously that's another thing. I could try different amounts of the pigment, but so far... Okay. That's true. I can do the VODs. Hey, Solkatsu. So these are... So far, I've got... These are just regular Space Marines. And they're the old style where they were just a couple of pieces you stuck together. So, like, the detail isn't great. The proportions are pretty awful. But, yeah, these are just standard ones. And then I also have a Chaos Space Marine. But, yeah, I'm just using these for testing. So it kind of doesn't matter what they are. It's just, it gives me nice planes on the armor to see where the color goes. I also have some like old D&D minis around. Yeah, no, this is it's very intense. Okay, let's mix. Does it matter if I... Okay, well, this one is mixed up with different things anyway, so it shouldn't matter what's on the mixing stick. Whoa. I guess I gotta be really, really careful when this stuff goes flying. Okay. All right, let's do another backpack. Yeah, and I have millions of these Marines, so yeah. So over the last few weeks, I just primed a whole bunch of them just to have them on standby. Okay, so this mixture it's definitely thin, but the color looks pretty good. you all been keeping up with the news about this next Spider-Man movie? My God. Is it actually going to have a story, or is it just going to be an endless parade of characters walking through? Okay. Well, coverage isn't terrible for a first. No, sadly, I'm not wearing my apron today. I just have, but I do have a sort of ratty old hoodie on. Interesting. I mean, obviously that's just fresh and needs to dry, but yeah, it's definitely coming out. I don't know the lighting. I don't know if the lighting is going to be good enough to tell, but the colors are coming out different. I gotta remember which mini goes to which test. Okay, is the water one dry yet? That's dry enough to put some more paint on. Let's try that. Oh yeah, and then I don't think it's spoilers, but because I mean everyone's talking about all of this. If you don't want to know about this, I suppose cover your ears. But there was another casting announcement just this morning. And again, I don't know if all of these are 100% true, but apparently the dude who plays Daredevil on the Netflix series is going to be in it now. And that's crazy. I mean, more power to them. They're sort of outmaneuvering DC because DC already announced that that this next Flash movie is going to be multiverse based. Again, and I don't know if it's official or not. I saw the quote unquote news was trending somewhere. So yeah, I'd love to hear any sort of actual confirmation. But yeah, I do think it's funny that DC talked about how their this next Flash movie is going to be Flashpoint. It's going to be multiverse stuff. We're going to get different versions of characters, and Sony and Marvel are like, well, hold on a second. We can outdo you in that respect pretty quickly. And again, that's not to say that Marvel doesn't have its own multiverse with different versions of worlds, obviously, but it's just funny that that's coming out. All this news is coming out as DC is frantically trying to reinvigorate their cinematic universe with a multiverse feature. Yeah, so there are parts where it's just like that whitish part up on top. It is just not sticking to that section at all. But again, I suppose I could add more pigment to this mix. Yeah, it just flows right off of there. It won't stick. Interesting. Oh, look, it sticks on the other side. I don't know. Maybe the primer came out a little bit weird right there. See, it sticks on that side, but there, not at all. Huh. Oh, if my video is getting bad, it looks like the connection just slowed down for a moment. And of course, you need a really crisp connection to see this paint dry. Yeah, especially with the way this sort of flows, a little bit like contrast. I mean, if I was, you know what? Let's. Okay, which version should we try? Let's try this one. Because what I was thinking was like contrast. Contrast works best on a surface that is not flat. So it works best on textures. So let's see what this does look like on the texture. Because again, any paint like contrast or like what I'm working with that has particles in it, these particles, they want somewhere to go. They want to sink down into recesses, crevices, cracks, whatever you've got, textures of skin or, you know, whatever kind of thing you have going on. On the flat planes of power armor, it's not necessarily going to look the best. Let's see. Today apparently is brought to you by the number 9. I don't know what sort of crazy creature had this color fur. But this guy killed it. Trying to be a little bit careful just to get it on these fur parts, but obviously it's a tester model. It doesn't really matter. But that's interesting. He skinned a Care Bear. There you go. Interesting. Yeah, and we haven't even begun to talk about. Well, we did mention a little bit earlier, like if I had, say, on these, prime it in one of these light colors, then put down like a really thin layer of a thin but smooth layer of something like a purple, and then put this on over it. Like obviously that's going to look different too. We also haven't talked about what kind of shades and things we can use over this new paint. Yeah. I will say there are times, not a lot of times, but there's some times in doing these tests and looking at my giant army of unpainted plastic and trying to figure out what I want everything to look like, when I think, you know, how much easier would all of this be if I just said, screw it, I'm going to play Ultramarines. Thankfully, those thoughts are fleeting. But yeah, playing something, or at least hobbying something where there's a set color for it, and there are a million tutorials of do this, then this, then this, then you're done. There's definitely something to be said for that. But yeah, then I'd be an Ultramarines player and I'd have to kick my own ass. That's cool. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but another coat of that and then a wash over it. That'd look neat. Okay, let's go back and see how things are drying. That's true, Talnak. Just paint everything randomly. So Katu says, how much testing planning happens before you sit down to actually start painting an army? It very, very much depends on the person and the style you're going for. And again, if you're doing like basically an existing paint scheme or if you're making your own. And, you know, some people will just start and then they'll add more units and they'll paint those and they won't necessarily be exactly the same as the other ones. But yeah, typically you want to nail down your colors pretty well. And of course, like, you know, I'm just like making my own paints here. If you're just using, you know, like if you know, okay, well, I'm going to use this color for armor, this color for trim, you know, then you can just do, you know, anything at any time. Obviously, it gets more complicated when you're mixing and making your own stuff. Ooh, yeah, so the second layer of the water mixture, a lot of it just dripped down and it's pooling down here at the bottom. So I think we've established that pure water is not good. Which is good to know. And again, it still didn't, well, I mean, it picked up a little bit up on that upper area. But yeah, pure water, I think, is a failure. Now, the pure flow aid, on the other hand, not terrible. Still drying. Obviously, needs some touch-ups, but yeah, and Nerdy Duck, that's another thing. Like, yeah, just because that doesn't work as full coverage doesn't mean you can't use it for something else. Which I just got to remember what it does. And now, oh, interesting. So the mix too has been pooling while I wasn't watching it, which again makes sense because it's got the water in it. But it definitely has better coverage than the pure water. Which, again, makes sense. But now but the water... but the water-based mixture worked a lot better on the black than the flow aid did. So what the heck does that teach us? And why would that be? If it came off of the lighter... I don't know. But again, I'm definitely not looking to prime my army in black for any of this. So this was just a fun experiment, but not important. And then yeah, on the silver that just completely came off. So no on the metallic for sure. It's going to be a no on the black unless I want to do some kind of neat effect. Yeah, I mean this could be. I could do something like this on some of my Emperor's Children for accents here and there, but that needs a lot of, at least another layer, and then it's going to need a lot of touch up. But again, light colors over black, it's very hard to get them to be vibrant and smooth. Yeah, I think I'll try... I think I gotta try some more pigment. Make it a little bit thicker. which seems weird. Well, I don't know. I gotta try more layers. Because I mean, what Jessica was able to do with that, with the pink on the legs that first time, I mean, that's pretty smooth and rad. I don't know exactly how she did that. I wasn't writing it down. Nope. More of it's coming off on my hand. Was that with the contrast medium? Yeah, in Nerdy Duck and Zardoz, you're both exactly right. So that was just with that. I thought it was just with water, but no, of course, because it's Games Workshop. How do I know how much of this I'm using? I guess I can use. If I've only been using this eyedropper for water, it should be okay to pull out contrast with that. Yeah, if I just use the contrast, that's fine. Look, it's all interesting if nothing else. Well, let's throw some contrast real quick. Maybe use a little less. It's so milky. Okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 10 drops of contrast. Yeah, let's just start with that. So this is 10 contrast to 1. Okay, so we'll do 1 spoonful of pigment. Approximately. Yeah, trying to do this as scientifically as, or at least as methodically as possible. I mean, what I'm really looking forward to is if I can get one of these to be great, and then I can mix up a big batch of it and put it in a big dropper bottle. That would be pretty sweet. All right, this is, it's a little chunky. But again, I'm dealing with such small amounts. Alright, start on, do I have legs? Alright, we'll start on a new guy. I don't want to keep. This guy's a little bit more complicated, but we'll do the backpack on this guy as well. Oh, interesting. Well, oh man. What were we just saying about if it was contrast medium the whole time? Because dang, that's smooth. Hold on, let me get this covered, and then we'll take a look at it. But, wow. Probably could use to be a little bit thinner. So maybe something like 13 or 15 drops to 1 spoonful. Yeah, I would definitely want this to be a little bit thinner, but it retains the color really well. That is bright. Or, not bright. I gotta figure out the right words to use for all of this. It's vivid, I think maybe is better. Because obviously it's darker, but it's hotter. Yeah, okay. All right, definitely, okay. Throw away the water, for sure. Maybe putting a little bit of the flow aid into this. Yeah, the magic of the whatever is in contrast is definitely, it's pure magic. God damn it, GW. You did it again. Huh. Yeah, it's definitely thicker, so I gotta use... Well, let's, it's cocaine. I know nothing about drug prices, but who knows? Could be. Interesting. So yeah, after all that... So look at this. Versus multiple coats already on these things. Splotchy, patchy. You know, definitely places where it's run and pooled. Ugh, even on this one. Yeah, I think that's the water effect in there. Versus one coat. And it's hard to tell. It's also still wet, but the details are still perfectly visible in hand. Yeah, now I'm thinking like, oh man, and even like edge highlighting on this would be really neat. Okay. I want it a little bit thinner though, so next I'll try a little bit more contrast versus pigment in my mixture. So if I get a little bit thinner, but yeah, we're on our way. Definitely on our way here. It's exciting. Like I'm making my own paint. Oh, let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, that's, I don't know how well you can see, but that's cool. Slayer of Care Bears. Ooh, Zardoz, that's another very good question. If different types of water, this is just tap water, Burbank tap water, which is very hard water. But yeah, I mean, if we used filtered water, distilled water, I don't know, probably. Perrier, you know, get some bubbles in there. Fuzzy water, as our kids call it. All right, cool. Well, we will continue this on Saturday. Heavy water. Hey, it gave the original Flash his superpowers. Okay, so on Saturday we'll continue, but we'll definitely start. We'll start directly with the contrast. Mix up a batch of the contrast version that's thinner than this, and then I also want to try a mixture of contrast and the flow aid, because I think that might help with thinning it out a little bit, but keeping in the amount of pigment. Yeah, I don't know. I just gotta. My mind isn't technical enough to look at this and figure out, okay, well, if that was thinner but used, yeah, I don't know. I just gotta do more testing like this and keep lots of copious notes. Yeah, heavy water for the Chaos Marines. So what? Yeah, and I'll still test that on the black also. Just what the heck, to see what that'll look like. Cool. Well, I'm excited. I think that went well. It's interesting, and it's definitely taught me more about the pigment and the different materials, which is good. Because yeah, I mean, thus far in my limited painting career, it's like, well, I open this bottle, I put it on, and that's paint. But it's always good to know a little bit more about the materials you're using, how they function, how they mix with different things. So that's cool. All right. I'd love to play more, but I gotta go and take care of the kids. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Yeah, call it North Meat Pink. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. So this company that does the micas, they make a bunch of different colors, but apparently, vibrant red is a very difficult thing to put together when it comes to, especially in the soaping world, to get like a really good red color. So somebody figured out basically that with a couple of different mad micas, I think it's micas in that case, not pigments. But if you mix a couple of them together in specific proportions, you can end up with a really good red. So my wife uses that for a couple of her soaps, and she did social media posting where she tagged in these guys, and they said, your stuff looks so good, can we use your pictures of your soap on our website for some of our products? And we're like, sure, of course. So that's neat. So yeah, we like Mad Micas. We recommend them if you're getting pigments and micas, and I'm sure they have other stuff too. Okay, so today is Wednesday, which means Myths and Video Games this afternoon with Pete Wiz. We will be playing Zork 2. And I need to go and research if there's anything we need to know from Zork 1 in order to play Zork 2. I'm guessing not, but I'm going to check just to make sure. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Other than that, tomorrow, no stream, but we'll be back at it on Friday with Figure Friday, which we're going to take a look at that 3D printed Zentradi shuttle that was sent to me by Stone Temple Studios. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to do a little bit of research in the meantime. Zardoz, I could definitely use your help on the different things out there that you can do with a traditionally plastic 3D print where it has the striations, because I know there's you have different options when it comes to how you do cleanup on that and get it ready for paint. And who knows what else. We'll go from there. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Watching me do mad scientist experiments and ramble on about things. And yeah, let me know if you see any official word about Spider-Man casting, because I am interested. I still haven't seen the last Spider-Man movie. Again, I don't like Spider-Man. Right? I don't like Peter Parker, so in general I don't care that much, but I do find it interesting when they mess with worlds and multiverses and things like that. So I'll check that out. Okay, that's it. Bye.